Well, I want to thank Mama Sanchez for the reading and hearing Pearl S. Buck's words through your voice is a really powerful experience. So thank you for that. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Also, I want to piggyback on something that Dr. Khan said, which I think is important for us to note here. As we're commemorating Pearl S. Buck, I think that we should challenge ourselves to accept this as an intersectional moment where both race and gender can occupy the same space in the conversation. You'll note from the reading that she was talking to women and what their experience was, women of color and what their experience was. And so one of the challenges in kind of building movements is to maintain intersectionality, to be able to have conversations about complex identity positions at the same time. But certainly going forward, we're gonna have to be able to do that. So I think that gender and race can be, we can sort of occupy the same spaces and have conversations that are fruitful. There are so many stories for me to tell about racism in my own experiences, but I'll give you a quick story. But first, let me just say that in terms of the work that I do, I'm much less interested in the sort of microaggressions or interpersonal racism and much more invested in addressing systematic institutional forms of racism. So I don't care so much if members of the SAE fraternity don't want me in their organization, but I do care a lot about like the University of Oklahoma's hiring practices. Have they tenured any women this year? You know, have they done what they need to do to retain first generation students there? So I'm much more invested in systemic and institutional issues when it comes to these conversations than the sort of individuals. So there's plenty of folk who don't like me, and I just have to kind of deal with that and get over it. I can remember when I took my second job at Bucknell University, which is in the center sort of region of PA, very sort of centrally isolated region of Pennsylvania. And one of my white colleagues there was introducing himself, and he was set up the conversation as he was going to tell me a joke. And so I know this sounds like it's going to go really in a crazy place. It is. And so he says, you know, which county in the state of Pennsylvania has the highest per capita of black males? So I said, well, it must be Philadelphia or the county that Philadelphia is in, right? And he was like, no, it's not Philadelphia. I said, wait, it's not the county that they were. I was like, well, maybe there's some like secret underground black community in Pittsburgh, right? So maybe is it in Pittsburgh? He's like, nope, it's not Allegheny County. It's not the county where Pittsburgh is. I was like, well, where is it? He says, right here in Union County. It's Lewisburg Prison, Allentown. Yeah. Okay. Now he thought that was funny, right? Now obviously for me that wasn't a very funny joke at all, and it really radically changed how I saw where I was working and where my family was living. But the way that I responded to that was not to smack him upside his head, which is probably what you want to do instinctively there. But I actually charged myself with making sure that I was get into those institutions to visit the young men that were there. And to connect with the young men that were there and to teach the young men that were there. And so I think, you know, again, I'm much more interested in institutions and systems than individual. Not that the individual stuff is not important, it is. Interpersonal racism can be debilitating for people. Interpersonal sexism can be debilitating for people. But I think the work that I have to do has got to look at these things systematically and structurally, and although that wasn't a very funny joke, it did challenge me to go out there and meet some of the young men that are in our mass incarceration systems.
Thank you. Thanks so much.